All right, how's everyone doing? This is Professor Dan bringing you a video on how to reduce terms in a categorical syllogism, because I know that it's been weighing on your mind. How do we reduce terms in a categorical syllogism? And also because learning stuff without seeing Professor Dan's face probably makes you sad. So here's a nice, quick, short, long video on how to reduce terms in a categorical syllogism. Let's start out by looking at our famous cat argument, which I'm not going to write on the board right here just yet, because I'm going to drop it in using editing tools. There it is. What we want to do here is we want to notice something. The conclusion, of course, is the same, right? And the conclusion is all cats are stupid animals, right? We know that that's the conclusion to the famous cat argument, and we remember it from early in the semester, and it's one of our favorite things of all time. But now we've been given the premises of this argument in a different way, right? So when I'm looking to do a syllogism reduction, what I want to do is I want to start out by putting the syllogism in the right order, right? I want to put it in the right order, and so in this case, what that means is I'm going to find the proposition in my original syllogism that looks like it has the word stupid animals, because as we recall, right, stupid animals, what is the major term? Now I don't have that proposition, I don't have that major term in what looks like the major premise, but I have something that looks kind of like it, right? And that is no small-headed animals are smart animals, right? No small-headed animals are smart animals, and no large-headed animals are cats. So now we have the famous cat argument. We have it stacked up the right way so that we can symbolize it, and then we can reduce the terms. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to symbolize these terms. When I symbolize terms, as I've said to some of you in your homework, when I symbolize terms, I'm only going to use one letter, right? I'm going to use one letter when I symbolize the term. And so I'm going to start again with my conclusion. If I remember correctly, that actually no, blue was the middle term color. I'm sorry. I think red was the major term. Okay, so I'm going to use T for stupid animals, and I'm going to use C for cat, because cat is the minor term and C works well enough there. So now I have to fill in where my complements are going to be. So stupid animal and smart animal are opposite of each other, and so I'm going to put my first complement there. I like to put complements in the premises instead of the conclusion, because I don't like to have to change things in the conclusion if I don't have to. Cats remains the same. And now I have small-headed animals and large-headed animals, and so that's going to be where I have to do my other complements. So what I'm going to do now to make my life easier is I'm going to say H, I think blue is the middle term color. H for small-headed animal, and non-H for large-headed animal, right? So when I look at this, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms, and as we know, that's way too many terms. A categorical syllogism can only have 3 terms, right? 3 is the number of terms, and the number of terms is 3. 4 is too many. 2 is not enough, unless one then proceedeth on to 3. And 5 is right out, so we have to reduce these terms. Luckily, I can use the operations I learned in 3.4, the categorical operations. I can use those to put the number of terms down to the correct number. Now I see that in my conclusion, everything is laid out nicely for me, and so therefore I'm not going to do anything there. I'm just going to leave it the same. All CRT. Looking at my major premise, I notice I have a complement in the predicate, and so I can use the operation called obversion. I can use that operation to get rid of that term complement. So of course now I change the quality from negative to affirmative, so no becomes all. The middle term is the same. And now I have non-T, which of course is the same as T. And so that takes care of my major premise. I have to do my minor premise. Unfortunately, my complement here is in the subject, but luckily for me, it's an E proposition, so I can convert it, and then I obvert it. So I write convert first, and then I obvert it, and so I get all all CRH, and now I have a syllogism with the correct number of terms, 1, 2, 3, which is the right number of terms for it to have. Now that I have reduced the terms, I can evaluate the syllogism for validity using my 5 rules. I see that my conclusion is a universal, so I don't have to worry about the 5th rule. I also have no negative propositions anymore, so I only have to worry about rules 1 and 2, which have to do with middle terms and things distributed in the conclusion. My middle term is H. It's distributed in the major premise, so rule 1 is good. Of the terms in the conclusion, only C is distributed, and so therefore I have to look at the minor premise, and in the minor premise the C is distributed, so I satisfy rule number 2. And so now I can write down that I have an one syllogism, and that is valid. And so now I have successfully reduced the terms in the categorical syllogism. So now what you should do is you should practice this and send me lots of homework to look at so I know that you've done it in time for the test. Thank you very much, and I look forward to our next video with propositional logic.